Welcome to Geeks Corner. I'm Mr. Daps.
I'm Katie.
And tonight is Katie's birthday, so we have balloons. How exciting is that? And we have a fun-filled show for you tonight as we do a coffee tasting. We're going to talk about a book that I just recently reviewed, and I moved too far away, but I will reach offset and get it. We are going to talk about the updates today with the guidelines that California released regarding the reopening of theme parks and what that means for the future of Disneyland and reopening. We are also going to talk about a new trailer for Soul.
Yeah.
And a new special, what do they call it? Special look? Is that what they call it?
I think that's what they're calling it.
So a new special look for The Mandalorian, which will be arriving on Disney Plus in just about a week and a half. Mm-hmm. And so all of you, if you'll take a moment and wish Katie a very happy birthday and embarrass her, I will be sharing those comments on the screen so that she can go back and watch them as we work our way through the show. But let's get this party started. If you'd like to join the conversation, Katie, what should they do?
Use the hashtag Geeks Corner on Twitter and talk to us. Or you can go on the YouTube chat, tap, and engage with us there and engage with each other. Have a good, thoughtful conversation.
And wish Katie a happy birthday. There's our first one.
You don't have to do that.
And we now have it there on the lower third, so Katie can go back and read from what Steven says for you.
Thank you.
Yes. Does Happy Porg Day count as birthday? I think that counts as a birthday. Mm-mm. Yeah, that'll count. So how about Happy Dole Whip birthday?
Is that Clocky?
Clocky's going through a couple of these, yes. And Roger is wishing a happy birthday as well. But we will keep going on with this. I will keep sharing them as we go about our show. So if I remember, Mikey really like. He also says happy birthday.
Hi, Mikey.
It's just fun to acknowledge these as we're putting them up on the screen. And Katie, and the Penguin says happy birthday, Katie, because our conversation for tonight is celebrating Katie's birthday. She cannot see the screen, so you guys could put all sorts of things, and she wouldn't know. But Angela's wishing you a happy birthday too.
Angela.
And see that. And Purple Tank 007 says happy birthday, Katie. And then apologize for misspelling your name. That is okay. It's hard to spell.
It's okay. Yeah, no, and Mr. Daps isn't speaking for me there. I promise you, I don't care.
It's not that counts.
It is. My name's really hard to spell.
Happy churros are better. Birthday, Katie. Also from Steven. And Bailey says happy unbirthday, Katie, which does mean it is her birthday. So on your birthday, about, what was it, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
5 years ago, you came on Geeks Corner for the very first time. And you sat actually about here, if I remember, just to my left, if I remember correctly. And you taught us about coffee tasting for the first time. So we thought it'd be fun tonight to revisit your very first coffee tasting and appearance on Geeks Corner and see if I learned anything from you 5 years ago and if I retained it. And that's the real trick. So I have made coffee tonight, and I have found something to pair it with as well.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but we're going to test this out. Steven says happy birthday as well.
Thank
Good
you.
seeing you in the park, my friend. And what we have here is we have a dark French roast.
Oh, okay.
It's got Arabica beans. They're from Latin America, the high altitudes, it said.
Okay.
So we have this. It is from Pete's, your competitor.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know, I don't buy coffee beans very often, and so this was a trick. Clocky has a better idea that we should have gone with Folgers and Dale Donuts. That would have been
true. That is the ultimate coffee pairing.
Yes. All right. So we're going to get our coffee cups. We're going to smell it. Right?
That is correct.
Yep. And then we're going to slurp it.
You do remember.
We're going to go around our mouth a bit. Right? And what do you taste?
It's very citrusy.
I taste that. It's on the front of my tongue today.
Yeah. Well, it's very... So Latin American coffees...
For French roast, but keep going.
Yeah, that's pretty enough. When you said French roast and you all said it was Latin American, I was like, those two don't go together in my head. But Latin American coffees are known for being very bright. They're known for being very citrusy, acidic. they compare them to like the bright colors and the culture of Latin America.
Makes sense.
The coffee
tastes kind of up here in the back of my mouth too.
Yeah, I love Latin American coffees. Funny thing, so if you were to go back 5 years ago, and no, I did. I've always loved Latin American coffees. I was not a certified coffee master yet, so I liked coffee a lot, but I did not know nearly as much as I do now.
So I'm going to take a moment to read this comment that says, don't ask Murray because he will tell you your coffee pairs best with ketchup.
Yeah. Saw that firsthand.
He's incorrect. It pairs best with catsup the other way.
Thank goodness I was not drinking.
Yes. Mary Pinkman says, we do love Katie, but we do like Pete's. Win-win.
Pete's is good.
And I ask the big question that's very important. The question is, what brand does Columbo drink? I'm betting he's a Folgers drinker.
I would think he's Folgers for sure.
I could see Folgers, in the big can. I think so.
The other good thing, just to throw this out here, because I like talking about coffee, is that they are Arabica beans. That's a very good thing because there are two types of coffee beans: Arabica and Robusta. Robusta are usually grown at low altitudes, and they are kind of cheaper to grow. They're not necessarily as good of a flavor. So Arabica is grown at high altitudes, a lot better flavor, just a higher quality coffee in general. So it's good that it's Arabica because sometimes you see Robusta out in the wild and it's not that good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So with this, I have chosen an appropriate, I hope, thing to pair this with, and that is cheesecake with chocolate. It's chocolate and regular cheesecake because it's got the chocolate crust and a little bit of chocolate.
It looks great
on the top, and then it's cheesecake. So
I think the flavor of like the cream cheese will go really well with
that
this.
was the best part, but I didn't want to just have plain cheesecake.
Yeah,
I was like, that's boring.
That's boring.
And then I read somewhere as I was researching today that the chocolate actually might go well with the French roast. So
okay.
Mm-hmm. Chocolate goes well with everything.
I do like that you're the one that put together the pairing.
Mm-hmm. I like it. You want to know why I like it?
Very good. I'm scared. Why do you like it?
Because it changes the flavor of the chocolate and actually brightened it.
I'm so proud of you. You know so many things now. Yeah. No, it's a very good pairing. It soothes the acidity in the coffee a lot because I'm not a huge fan of acidic coffees. Yeah, but this coffee wasn't super acidic, but it was definitely there. The cheesecake and I think the chocolate definitely like neutralizes it. It's really good.
Good.
You didn't know you were signing up for coffee talk.
No, I didn't. Anyway, happy 5th anniversary from your first time being on Geeks Corner, and happy birthday. So
much has changed.
And with that, we are going to move into other topics.
That's for sure.
Said unhappy things, kind of, for this week in Geek, the Week in Geek. So we are returning to this, our weekly commentary discussion about what is going on with Disney news. Today it was announced by California that there are guidelines for reopening theme parks. These guidelines mean that Disneyland in particular, and also Universal, will have to reach a much lower yellow tiered level. They are in purple and red currently, so it's 2 and 3 levels to get down before they can reopen. Disneyland immediately responded through its president and saying that basically this is unacceptable. They've already shown that they can reopen theme parks globally around the world in a safe and responsible manner. The Anaheim mayor responded very shortly after the guidelines were released as well, saying that this was going to cost lots of jobs, not just from Disney, but really the local people around Disney that kind of use the tourism to really stay in business. And then also what else are we saying? I'm trying to remember what else happened. It's
been a long day.
Right, the Theme Park Association responded saying this was going to be bad also, as did several other organizations and businesses locally. And depending on what you think about this, it was either way, it was quite the day. Katie, what were your thoughts as you were reading through these developments through the afternoon, and were you surprised at how quickly California came out and responded?
So I watched the press conference today. I watched it this afternoon. I definitely had strong opinions about it because they are trying to currently frame that going to a sports stadium is a safer activity than going to a theme park, which I don't agree with. I disagree with the very basis of that idea. So I disagree wholeheartedly, and I think that it was said in one of the articles that we're probably not going to see Disneyland open until next summer if these guidelines hold true.
I believe the Orange County health officer said that.
Yeah, but I that's accurate. Because to be in the yellow tier, we have to have positive tests under 2.2%, I believe, and we have to have one new positive case per week per every 100,000 citizens, which that I understand that would be a perfect place to be. That's just not going to happen soon. And I keep wanting to frame this. This isn't me being like, I want to go back to Disneyland. Like the people that were demanding haircuts, they didn't want the people to go back to work. They just wanted haircuts. I want people to go back to work. I want cast members to be able to work again, provide for their families, pay rent. It's a really, really scary time we're living in. And I think that if they don't want to reopen theme parks, they should be able to give them more money on unemployment.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be, if you're going to cause problems like this for a local economy, you need to have solutions as well. And what I saw today was a hey, you just can't do this, and so you get all the consequences, and you don't get any bailout. And I don't know that the governor came forward with a solution today, because the issue I see is I spend my life always looking. I have a role in leadership at the company that I work with, and well, everywhere I work with. But my job 9 times out of 10 is to look for the law of unintended consequences. And so I need to be looking, hey, if we do this, what are the things that are going to happen to the people that work for me or the people that don't work for me but are impacted by me down the line? And I think the trick that really was not answered today is, what are you going to do about the people that that aren't able to go to work, that no longer are going to be getting the benefits that, stopped in July? And I can only assume that Disneyland is going to have to let go more people depending on how long this goes. And that's Stephen just said, Mr. Dapp somehow gained a leadership role on my podcast. And I'm the only employee.
Oh, you didn't know?
I didn't know either, but okay. Which you should go check out his podcast and plug yourself in the chat there, Silver Bullet, and I will share that in a second. But anyway, when you have a leadership role in that much of impact, you have to look out for the little guy. And I don't see him looking out for the little guy at this. I see him looking out for the big picture health of this one issue. But there's also issues of anxiety, of depression, of not having purpose for getting up and going to work in the day, for the local economy. They're literally losing billions of dollars by Disneyland continuing to remain closed. And so I don't know that an extreme is ever the answer. And I'm not saying that you should go and reopen everything right away, because that's not the answer either. But what I am saying is that you need to meet somewhere in the middle, which I think Disney is willing to do, and so are all the other theme parks. And maybe that means opening at 20% or 15%, or maybe it has more guidelines for when they're reopening and having higher levels of verification or checking, what's going on to ensure safety in terms of government oversight. That's what I'm looking for. But I think it was a pretty extreme approach that seemed a little bit unfair to theme parks compared to, being able to go and get your hair cut, which, for the record, I cut my own hair during this pandemic. And, I don't go anywhere. I've gone to Walt Disney World because I felt it was safe. I go to the grocery store, and I've gone to downtown Disney and Starbucks, and that's about it. And I only go to one Starbucks, and that's hers. But, there has to be a balance, because the law of unintended consequences is going to hit this whole thing really, really hard. Yeah. Also, go check out All the Web's A Stage. You can listen anywhere that podcasts are, and the latest episode has both Katie and me.
And it was episode 13.
And it was episode 13, and it came out on Katie's birthday.
And
it has very random tweets that we picked included in it. So you should. The
tweets are very good.
They were very fun. So anyway, do you have thoughts more on this also?
No, and I was thinking about it. So I'm coming from two sides of this. And I've talked about it a lot during this shutdown.
Yeah.
Is that my first job was in the theme park industry, and my first job I worked with a lot of people it wasn't their only job. It was a job that they needed to keep things afloat. They would most likely be able to operate in the orange tier, but
the tier above, yes.
Yeah, but they would have to sell tickets that are only to people in the county. The guidelines are still ridiculous. So to me, I was looking at it and I'm like, how would they even operate?
The part that baffled me with that is I feel like these smaller theme parks, and this isn't slamming them in any way,
yeah,
just don't have the resources to create a safe environment that something like Disney or Universal does, and even Knott's. And we've already seen that Knott's can basically operate safely because we've had zero, I haven't heard any complaints about them in terms of an outbreak. And I'm very willing to be stand corrected, but it baffles me because it's the people who should be the best at protecting people are getting penalized the most. Angela's asking, I'm really curious what the team learned from their visit to Florida. And Katie, I believe you can answer that, how that contributed to these guidelines.
So they talked about that a little bit on the press conference, and this just infuriated me more. They talked about it and they said, we saw a lot of really encouraging things about Walt Disney World, and they saw that they were doing a pretty good job of keeping groups separate and everyone was keeping their masks on. But they also said they had a lot of concerns about what they had seen in Disney World. And they literally contradicted themselves. And they said that they saw a lot of groups that were not together mingling without their masks on, and that the parks kept putting groups that were not traveling together, which I have heard nothing of that in Walt Disney World. If you are on Rise of the Resistance, you get your own car. If you get your own interrogation room, you're not being put into ride vehicles or anything with other groups.
I'm just going to call it out. I was just at Walt Disney World 3 weeks ago, and that was not my experience.
Yeah.
So we had a week and a half difference, 2 weeks different. And I didn't see any of that. In fact, I saw Disney aggressively going up to people and saying, cover your nose with your mask if something was showing, or if somebody's walking and even taking a sip of their drink, hey, you need to put your mask over and you need to stop if you're going to drink and socially distance. And they were very clear about making sure you stayed apart from other groups. Even on Rise of the Resistance, I think, is a prime example. We had 4 people in our group for Rise of the Resistance, and it was me and Murray and then a couple, and we were all the way across the cell from each other. They kept us so far apart, and I find that incredibly hard to believe. And even I think if you look for things, you can find anything, because everybody has seen how you can take a picture down Main Street and everybody's socially distanced and it looks like they're all close together. And it's just not fact. And
it's about seeing the forest for the trees. And I think that they wanted to see a forest, so they saw a forest, and they didn't look for the trees. So it was, to me, I feel like they just wasted a trip to Walt Disney World. And
well, I find it disingenuous.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call this out, and I rarely will take a side on things like this, especially publicly.
It's true.
But I feel like for them to say that negates everything that we experienced 2 weeks before. And that was one of the big reasons I wanted to go, is because as reopening got pushed back further and further at Disneyland. In fact, one of the reasons we picked the week we did was just on the off chance that a miracle happened and they opened on October 1st or the 3rd, or those first few days. And so one of the reasons I really wanted to check out Walt Disney World is I want to see for myself. I have 2 friends that have already gone, 3 actually. Is it as good as they said it was? And it was busier when I went, but it was still as good as they said it was. And so I just find that incredibly hard to believe. And I rarely will take sides on things like this, but I do think this is one of those cases where you have to play fair, and I just don't think it's playing fair.
I agree.
All right, let's move on to more fun things, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember what's next.
Mandalorian.
There's a new special look that was released this week ahead of The Mandalorian arriving on Disney Plus in a week and a half. It's going to be awesome. What did you think of this special look that we rewatched just like 20 minutes ago?
I think it's fun. I also thought it was really fun that, to be completely honest, it's been a crazy week. I just saw it for the first time while I was watching the World Series. So I got to see
Also
it
very cool.
on TV, which was really nice. I think it is very epic, is the best word for it. Lots of big, lofty shots of ships.
Was he getting chased by X-Wings?
It looked like it.
Or maybe that was a misdirection, but
but that is what they
cool.
made it seem to be.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
I hope Dave Filoni's flying one of the X-Wings again. That would be really funny.
I would like to see that. I would like to see more Filoni.
Legitimately start laughing if I saw that, or like shouting at the TV. It would be fun.
As long as he's wearing his hat, because he wasn't wearing his hat last time, and I'd like to see him wearing his hat.
He has to wear a helmet in the X-Wing.
I'd like to see his hat.
Was it just me, or did they up the production value even more?
It seems like it,
because to me it was like already really good, and it felt more like it almost felt more like the movies, and I mean the original series movies.
So the funny thing is that we were watching the World Series. My mom watched the trailer because I went Mando, 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 because I'm a child. And my mom went, I didn't know that those were movies. And I went, oh no, it's a series. She went, oh, because that looked like it was a movie.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a pretty funny.
Because it was almost too polished season one, and this had a little bit more of a roughness to it, and a little bit more depth, and I don't know what the word is, but it just seemed a little bit more aged, really, like it just didn't look too HD, even though it was HD. I think, and I loved the tonality of it. I thought that was super cool. I'm curious to see why he goes back to his quote unquote friends from first season to get help. It'll be interesting.
It will be. I'm excited about it though.
Any predictions on who his people are, and do we actually find this out, or does this mean he's returned to the Jedi? The child.
I don't know. I like to imagine this planet of Yodas. And I like the idea of the Mandalorian being on this planet of Yodas because they're all like 2 feet tall.
That would be really funny.
I just think that is a hilarious
I would like to see him
image.
get attacked by a planet of Yodas.
I think that it would be the argument of, would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
One horse.
Have you ever heard that argument? Yeah. I think it'd be like that though. I think that there would be just so many little Yodas that.
I mean, he had a hard time with Jawas, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think that it'll be just a Back to the Jedi thing, but I would really like to see more of whatever thing.
Well, I think there was an interesting statement in here too about where he's like, I need to find other Mandalorians to, and that brings up the interesting question of like what happened to all of them since season 1 when he got rescued.
Yeah.
And are they not on Mandalore anymore, or is it like what's going on with that? The Merry Penguin predicts that there's no Jedi until the last episode of the season. I think that's a very good prediction.
Call it The Last Jedi.
I would actually guess it's not even a Jedi for the last episode of the season. It's somebody who left the Jedi Order, if I had to make a guess.
I have a
you
feeling.
don't know this, but you will. We're going to work on this.
Well, no, can I say what I think?
Yeah.
I have a feeling you're talking about our girl, Miss Ahsoka Tano. Yeah. She's no Jedi, man. I know that.
Okay, just checking. You realize if I walked into a spoiler territory for you.
No.
Okay, good. So do you have any other predictions for this season?
I think it's gonna be really good. I'm trying to separate. I've heard so many things about
all the
rumors and all that. I'm really hoping that none of it is true.
They were pretty wrong about season 1.
Yeah, and that's what but I have heard from multiple people that there's like this big tone shift, which I wouldn't mind that in and of itself.
I think you could tone shift every season.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, I also think it'll be interesting to see if this season actually does lead to breakaway shows with different characters, especially. I just think there's lots of potential there. I'd be curious to see if we see any other like legacy characters pop in. Do we see like is the big surprise of the season that Luke Skywalker shows up, or
I
like
feel weird about that.
I would too, but you could also,
I want to see my girl Princess Leia of Alderaan show up on some diplomatic business,
or just like walk by in the background, but it's
I'd like to see it.
What do you think? Maybe like C-3PO, R2-D2, you could always like they're safe to throw into anything.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Mike, you would like to see Boba Fett?
Well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm trying to think of.
I don't know how I feel about the Boba Fett thing, to be completely honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because in this timeline,
like I kind of like when you're dead, you're dead. And they it's kind of getting into the comic book thing where it's like, okay, we want this character back now, so we'll bring them back.
Yeah. But it's somebody else wearing Boba Fett's armor. That's how the comics do it.
I'm okay with that. Like, yeah. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So the other trailer that came out this week it's hard to believe this was all in this week because there's so much.
It's been a long week.
Yeah. And we're skipping the whole part where like Disney gets slammed by Elizabeth Warren and
like, oh my gosh, that was this week.
That was this week.
Oh.
Mary Penguin like a introduction of another fast ship. But we are going to talk about Soul now. Pixar Soul has another trailer as it gets ready to also debut on Disney Plus on Christmas Day. December 25th. This trailer gave a lot more look to the plot of what is going to be happening in this movie, which I always dislike when they do that for Pixar films. I realized after the trailer, I've watched it several times now, and I was like, I like the old days where Pixar trailers, you had no clue what the movie was going to be about.
It's fair.
Anyway, what did you think of this trailer now that I've...
Well, I actually really liked it.
I did too.
I thought it was super interesting because like before I was just like, well, they say, haha, it's funny, he dies and then his soul parades around. It's really what it seemed like we all knew it was going to be very touching, but it was kind of like this, look at me, I'm doing a little cowboy dance. Like that was what the last trailer was. I think that this this trailer showed us more that it's going to be a very interesting, like philosophical movie. It talks about what happens before a soul comes to Earth, which I think is a fascinating idea, no matter what your beliefs are on philosophy or theology or whatever. I think it's very, very interesting. And I think it's an interesting concept that he's like trapped and has to get back to his body somehow, which I think that's this other interesting thing, is that his body is parading around assumingly without a soul. Which kind of gave me Inside Out vibes a little bit.
Oh, totally.
Of when Riley has, she's void of all her emotions and she has that breakdown. It reminded me a lot of that. This trailer confirmed what I already knew, that I'm going to cry. For sure. I think it's going to be a really good, like deep look into what makes us who we are as people. I think it's going to be beautiful.
And that looks like that's what people are saying in the chat. Steven's really excited. So is Angela. And Mary Penguin's excited about the world building from the first few clips.
Yeah.
She had Wall-E and Inside Out vibes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I feel like those are very similar.
I really hope we're surprised by this and they haven't given away too much about it. Because I actually do feel like I know too much about the film right now. I have liked all of the trailers, and this trailer in particular got me way more excited about the world that this will take place in, and like the music's going to be phenomenal. Like I almost feel like there's going to be a little bit of a Mr. Holland's Opus vibe thing going on too because of the teacher thing.
That's fair.
And so I'm really curious to see which directions they go with this, because there's quite a few different possibilities for this. And my big hope with all of this is that we don't know too much, and that we get some really good surprises that sucker punch the emotions as we're going through this.
Yeah.
Because that's what Pixar does the best. And it's going to be a great story because Pete Docter is just incredible.
He's an amazing storyteller.
Yeah.
All of the artists at Pixar really have an incredible way of storytelling. My big question is what's going to happen. I assume it's going to go straight to Disney Plus, but Burrow, the short that was supposed to debut, I was really excited about it because it was hand-drawn animation, which you don't really...
I'm assuming it's going to be in front of it, but I haven't heard. Or like...
Well, yeah. I assume that I was just hoping... And that was...
I mean, it's kind of a bummer with all these to not get to see him on the big screen.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about last week. But I was just thinking about when I realized today, I was like, oh, I just realized we're not going to see Burrow.
That is true.
So,
and on that unhappy note, get us out of here, Katie.
Go to dapsmagic.com. Check out all the Disney and geek news as it happens. When we find out what's going to happen to Burrow, you will be the first to know. You can also find us on our socials. So, ooh, I can clear my throat too. You can find us on Instagram.
Cheesecake.
At dapsmagic, at Geeks Corner, or over on Twitter at daps_magic or at the Geeks Corner. We post a lot of fun things, share a lot of fun ideas, and it'd be really fun if you came and joined us.
That is very true. And also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got tons of videos that continue to go up, more live streams, lots of videos from Florida that Murray and I are still working our way through and trying not to kill our computers. But that is all the time we have for you this week. Happy birthday, Katie.
Thanks.
And we will see you round the corner.
Bye.